What is the world's most evil company and why? Chiquita Bananas. I'm not sure if they are that evil currently, but they have a really bad history of killing protesting workers, starting wars and supporting terrorist organizations. https://en. Wikipedia. Wiki Chiquita Brands International. The term Banana Republic came from their relations with nations like Honduras. I am a little biased since I just saw Dark Waters, but DuPont. Nestle. https://www.zmessions.com Science Nestle Company Pollution Children Too many reasons to list. Most fast fashion brands. Child labor. Wasting horrible amount of water while polluting it. Burning or throwing the unsold clothes into the ocean, etc. I can't help but thinking that all mainstream products in the world are built on top of suffering. And that anything remotely ethical is just extremely expensive and scarce. Nestle is pretty bad. Charging African villages for water. The far worse thing that they did was give milk formula to poor African women for free just long enough for them to stop producing milk. And then start charging them for the formula. Tricking them into giving up something they produce naturally and then charging them to save their babies. I mean, Church of Scientology is pretty sketchy. It's probably some little known company that isn't high profile but is basically pure slavery while supplying the bigger companies that we actually know about. I'd also nominate security contractor companies that supply death squads and death squad training to dictators around the world. What they do is often technically illegal in the countries they're based in. But enforcement just doesn't happen as long as they're assisting governments their home government supports. https://www.reuters.com investigates special report Johnson & Johnson cancer. J&J knew for decades that asbestos lurked in its baby powder. Edit. https://en. Wikipedia. Wiki Dopasic, miniseries. Dopasic focuses on the epicenter of America's struggle with opioid addiction across the U.S. 3, and specifically the drug OxyContin. Good 8-ep series about one of the most evil company. I checked some of the stuff they did because it was unreal to me. I was just naive. https://en. Wikipedia. Wiki Purdue Pharma Company that was owned by the Sackler family. Scrolled this far just to find J&J mentioned. It was unbelievable how long they kept this under wraps despite reports from way earlier regarding how carcinogenic their powder was turning out to be. Especially increasing incidence of ovarian cancer in women. Purdue Pharma. OxyContin is still killing people. But hey. Bonuses for selling by the milligram. Evil. Georgia ruins small businesses and destroys the sense of community in rural towns. And their cola sucks. All the companies who are gobbling up real estate so they can rent the houses out for insane rates while also neglecting their landlord responsibilities. Let's look at what happened with Zillow last week. Bought 6,000 houses by paying too much for them. Facebook. They knowingly created an algorithm that boosted content with angry reactions, which in turn disseminated misinformation that has cost lives, and created divisions between people, our friends and family. Whatever controversial view Uncle Bob held is being shoved right in our faces. They have perpetuated the process of dividing us between young and old, rich and poor, black and white, left and right, liberal and conservative. And they did it all because more clicks equals more money in their pockets. Fuck Facebook. Amway. Nestle. Literally trying to steal all water and sell it back at a huge profit. Along with basically owning slaves, they are just straight up evil. Wells Fargo. Row. Didn't know about this. From Wikipedia. https://en. Wikipedia. Wiki Wells Fargo account fraud scandal. The Wells Fargo account fraud scandal is a controversy brought about by the creation of millions of fraudulent savings and checking accounts on behalf of Wells Fargo clients without their consent. Nike is the largest slave labor company in the world, all while preaching equality. I can't believe I scrolled as long as I did till I saw someone mention Nike. Lots of good examples here. Find it interesting that nobody mentioned McKinsey, which advises most of these firms on their corporate strategy. Here's an essay written by an anonymous former employee of theirs. https://www. Current affairs. org/2019/02/McKinsey Company Capitals Willing Executioners. I love how London Oil and its leadership would literally qualify for the bad guy role in a 80s action movie. Not many people outside of Sweden have heard of them. Meta. It's still factbook, but it metastasized. Shell is about to start blasting the wild coast of South Africa to find oil. It's during whale migration season as well. Every 30 seconds. 24 hours a day for 6 months they will blast sound waves at the ocean floor. The ocean wildlife is going to be destroyed. Facebook, as they are literally manipulating everyone. Facebook was the worst. That's why I only use Meta now. Tobacco companies. Governments love them. Bayer is pure evil. Selling HIV-contaminated drugs. https://pubmt. nkb. NLM. NIT. gov/24,785,997, until they got busted. Then they just sold it in Africa. Hoping the first world wouldn't care. So like all you guys are going on about Nestle, but have you ever heard about Cargill? Cargill makes Nestle look like a good guy in comparison. This company has the power to single-handedly eradicate hunger and deforestation but chooses not to, so that food is a scarce commodity, making it a marketable object. They also control are directly involved in something like 90% of every agricultural good you interact with daily. Clothes on your back. Food for breakfast, lunch, dinner. Blankets you keep yourself warm with. Etc. And they're privately held. So no one really has much visibility into what happens in there. Doofenshmirtz Evil Inc. Damn it. I instinctively sang the jingle in my head as I was reading this. TBH, corporations are like politicians. Finding a decent one is the exception. Probably not the most evil, but I hate Comcast the most. I just moved over to Google Fiber and had to break up with Comcast. Everything was fine working with the rep during the termination of service. They called me back up 2 days later and the Comcast guy I was talking to asked me why I left. I said I wanted to try Google Fiber for a couple months and he said, "So you hate Comcast?" I said no. I didn't say that. I said I wanted to try out a different service for a couple months and then he made a scoff noise at me and then I said, "We're done here," and hung up. WTF. Everything was fine until they called me back and did this. Cargill is pretty underestimated. They engage in child slavery. They sold poisoned seeds in Iraq that killed hundreds of people. And they sometimes sell infected meat. It also is really intransparent, as it is not publicly traded. The sole drought tolerant. High yield wheat treated with a fungicide to be planted. Drought had lowered yield the last few seasons. The seeds were dyed to indicate they were treated. Skull and crossbones were on the bags. And the Iraqi government required a signed acknowledgement from all households receiving seed that the seed was poisonous and not to be eaten. It was a disaster. But not entirely Cargill's fault. I've scrolled so much and hasn't seen anyone mentioned this but Chevron. They were found guilty in America and were ordered to pay. The lawyer who represented the victims is currently sitting in jail in the US. Edit. Here's an article on it. https://www. World. Org article How Chevron Imprisoned Environmental Lawyer Stephen Donziger. Purdue Pharma should be on the list. It would be faster to list the few who aren't evil. A lot of small, community-oriented buzzines aren't. Until they become big. At least. DuPont Chemical. Any of the privately owned prisons in the US. Citadel Securities for shorting and sellerboxing many businesses and medical companies because curing cancer is not a sustainable business model. Wait. Isn't this the same guy who just used his illicit wealth and ill-gotten gains to outbid a Deo on a physical copy of the US Constitution so he could donate it to his billionaire friend's private museum rather than letting the Deo digitize it and distribute it to all the peoples of the globe? And the same dude who was accused of trying to assault his wife with a bedpost right before their wedding? He sounds like a swell dude, slightly smiling face. Since Nestle has already been mentioned, I'd bet a chip on BlackRock Inc. One of the biggest, if not the biggest, investment management corporation who has made sure to have a lot of ex-employees in as many country governments as possible. https://www. Business Insider. FRS what to know about BlackRock Larry Fink Biden Cabinet Facts 2020 to 2012. https://www. Business Insider. FRS what to know about BlackRock Larry Fink Biden Cabinet Facts 2020 to 2012. They're everywhere and invest in without a single second of hesitation. As long as it brings money back. Nestle. Forget the CIA saying water isn't a right. They own their part of their workforce and have been called out on it repeatedly. There has been article after article written about this. A few years ago, they even released a fancy infographic explaining how they were trying to reduce the use of slave labor. Nestle chocolate is slave chocolate. If you are put on their fishing boats or cocoa plantations, you're finished. You are a line item on a sheet and worked with no pay or benefits and just enough food to keep you alive. If you break, you are discarded and left to die. If you are on a fishing boat and get hurt or sick, you'll just be tossed overboard in the ocean. Think about this the next time you see the Quick Rabbit or pick up a Nestle Crunch bar. My grandma brings up Facebook 2 or 3 times every time we talk. Facebook has made a captive audience of the elderly. They got on FB to keep up with family and instead are being blasted all day long with a personalized stream of propaganda. Walmart. They drove down prices their suppliers can charge them. And this results in poorer quality items. Pretty sure it's harmful to the suppliers as well. They are a welfare company. Drive out all other business. So people work there. Pay non-livable wages so workers have to survive on food stamps. Which the employee then uses at Walmart. Disgusting cycle. I'd like to put East India Company into the list. Responsible for approximately 20-30 million deaths by forcing farmers to grow cash crops instead of food. They legit increased the taxes on farmers during a famine so that the famine wouldn't hurt their bottom line. Acme Corporation. Their products are dangerous and hard to use. And never seem to work correctly. Causing numerous injuries and accidents. Found while Coyote's Reddit account. Fuck Nestle. De Beers. From slave labor to artificial scarcity that creates insane prices. Diamonds are just a nasty business in so many ways. Russia has thousands of tons of cut diamonds just sitting in vaults in case it wants to cause global mayhem. Diamonds are very common. Sharon Pochfund Group. They treat their workers like slaves. Tens of thousands of workers have to work 10 hours a day. 6 days a week for 10,000 baht a month. $304. Their 13,000 stores are one of the largest contributors of plastic waste in Asia. They sell cheap cigarettes and high-content alcohol all over Thailand with no regard for the social consequences. This company is a disgrace and has no corporate responsibility. The sugar industry as a whole is pretty evil. The Cargill Corporation. It's a privately owned agribusiness that runs almost everything food-related. Meat for McDonald's? Cargill. Feed corn? Cargill. Cacao beans for Nestle produced using child slavery? Cargill. There's a serious case to be made that Cargill and Cargill-owned companies are the largest single consumer of slave labor ever. They're also the absolute worst for the environment and for foreign economies. If this picks up steam, I'll go hunt down the report which lists a bunch of their crimes and edit a link in Initech. Fucking Ticketmaster. Convenience fee? For using your website or app? Pre-sale blocks of tickets to yourself to scalp sold-out shows on your vertically integrated StubHub and SeatGeek? Sweet. Thanks cocksuckers. It's not like I was waiting 20 years to finally see Radiohead. Honorable mention to those water-grabbing fucks at Nestle. And Zuckerberg can lick each of my testicles. Individually. Joke answer, Cognito Inc. They run the shadow government and tried to replace the president with robot. Serious answer, Walmart. They have dedicated themselves to hurting small businesses, small towns, and creating multi-generational poverty, all in the name of profit for the Walton family who spends all their time in their 3 heavily fortified mansions. Amazon isn't too far off, but Walmart has the time and history behind them. Here's an upvote for both of her answers, but TBH mainly the inside job reference. Bayer. They used human blood to make a blood clotting medicine. Then, as the AIDS crisis started becoming more of a thing, the US started mandating that companies test products like that for HIV. Turns out that almost all of their stock contained HIV and had a good likelihood of giving people who took it AIDS. So they sold it in the third world where testing wasn't mandated. Mostly in Asia and Latin America. Result was a giant surge in AIDS in those places. They literally sold medicine they knew would kill people. For-profit prison corporations. Blackwater. Now Academy. Edit. If you don't know them, watch their videos where they randomly kill civilians for fun. The British East India Company. https://en.m. Wikipedia. Wiki East India Company. A company that literally enslaved an entire subcontinent and killed millions to please their stockholders. If not for these guys, India would not be impoverished as they are today. Fun fact. Even though it was essentially disbanded in 1857, it kind of still exists and has a single store in London. Pfizer. They're proven price gauges and only care about lining their pockets. Don't even get me started on all the recent shit they've pulled. They are all becoming evil. Right to repair laws are needed ASAP. And not just for one segment. A law that goes across the board on anything and everything sold. I want to be able to repair what I buy at a fair and reasonable price without the manufacturer stepping in otherwise. Software locking components now to prevent home repairs? Just how low can a company go to steal your money? Citadel Securities. They and their ilk have fleeced generations of people out of their wealth via high-frequency trading, dark pools, pump and dumps, and what could be called legal tax evasion. And so defrauded our very economy and nation. Their practices have invalidated securities trading on fundamentals, and decoupled real-world value from derivative speculation. Their manipulation currently has a stranglehold on American investment. Nestle. Chase Bank once threatened to reveal critical FBI and military intelligence data if they were prosecuted for funneling Reichsmarks stolen from Jews fleeing Nazi Germany to Nazi sympathizers in the US. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. BlackRock. They manage trillions of dollars of assets in fossil fuel companies and are one of the largest abettors of climate change today.